Welcome to Get It Done Entrepreneurs, where we talk with founders of companies who bet on themselves and won. My name is Rich LeBrun, and I am the founder and CEO of LeBrun Advisory Group. You can find us at rlebrun.com. Our mission is to help our clients build wealth through business ownership. Stick around to the end of the show and we'll reveal how you can be our next guest. Our special guest today is Beate Chelette. She's founder of Chelette Enterprises and also known as the growth architect and founder of the Women's Code, and provides visionaries and leaders with proven strategies, blueprints, and growth maps that provide clear steps to improve business systems, strengthen leadership skills and teams so that their clients and audiences can maximize profits and scale their impact. Beate went on an entrepreneur journey that was crazy transition from being broke single mom and immigrant who was $135,000 in debt to cracking the code and then, get this, selling her business to Bill Gates for millions of dollars during a prolonged recession. Look forward to hearing a little bit of that story coming up shortly. Her super skill is finding the hidden opportunity and creating an executable strategy to achieve it. Her clients are consultants, coaches, service providers who want to grow their authority to scale their impact. They know there are hidden opportunities in this market, and they know they cannot wait this market out. She helps them first to figure out how to articulate their unique value and that thing that sets them apart. Then she designs framework, strategy, and systems to streamline operations and workflows. Using her 5-star success blueprint, her team can diagnose in 30 minutes where a business is stuck, if it needs optimal alignment or is missing certain elements. Beate's goal is to help her audience understand that they need a strategy to find a hidden opportunity, get unstuck, instill confidence that they can build a sustainable and strategic business model. Beate is passionate about building structure for overwhelmed and frustrated business owners who can't squeeze out any more time in their busy day. Very little excites her as much as designing strategy, building a repeatable structure, and process mapping. She has worked with giants like Amazon, Reckitt, the maker of Lysol, Los Angeles Philharmonic, and many, many small businesses. Beate's course, Creative Live, now acquired by Fiverr, has over 40,000 buyers. She is also the podcast host of the Business Architect Show and listed amongst the top 100 global thought leaders by People Hum, and one of 50 must follow women entrepreneurs by HuffPost. Beate lives with her family in Los Angeles. And with that, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be on the show.
I'm excited to be here, Rich.
Yeah, I've had a chance to listen to some of your podcasts and other people's shows, and you have a wonderful story. And I want to kind of start out there. Our listeners love to hear stories, how you started your business, why you started businesses, the challenges, etc. So please tell us a little bit more about you and how you got things started.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm an accidental entrepreneur, but maybe then it wasn't so accidental. I started selling posters out of my bedroom when I was 12 years old because I couldn't afford to buy the posters. And so I figured if it was the poster distributor, then I would get points. And from those points, I could get those posters for free. And sometimes I made a mistake. And guess what? I got an extra poster and then I could sell it for profit. And that I thought was a really kind of cool thing. So I come originally from Germany, where we take things extremely seriously. And I always felt that I was more drawn to the creative aspect of work. And I was told very early on in the aptitude test that I took that was a bad idea, that I should be a secretary, not a photographer, not a textile designer, not a jewelry designer. And I thought that was really dumb. And so I became a photographer anyway. And I realized early on that my passion was not so much about the creativity. I love the creative part, but I wasn't that good. And I figured that out, thank God, early on. And I always felt drawn to the business side of things. And so from there on, I went then in the business side as a photo editor at Elle magazine and was managing all the photo shoots worldwide that we did. And from there, I thought that was a little bit boring because now I'm 23. I'm running the photo department at Elle magazine in Germany. I have the job that everybody will kill other people to do. And I didn't like it. And I immigrated to the United States, and then the real journey started. And I I ended up in Los Angeles, where I worked for a company that then laid me off. I was a photographer representative and a still photography producer. And then in this very, very prolonged recession, he shut down the whole department, says, just take what you want. And I just don't want to pay you anymore. And so I started my entrepreneurial journey in a country that's not my own as, and I just had to figure it out. At that time, I, now was a married woman with a small child, already starting going through a divorce because I married an alcoholic and a pathological liar. And then the decade of bad luck starts. On the decade of bad luck, what other people, because well, that just happens to other people. This can never happen to me. All of it happened to me. The betrayal by the employee who got too close to a key vendor, and then they set up their own business, which was my business, without me. And my invoices were paid to them to fires, floods, riots, earthquake. Then we had September 11th that wiped out $500,000 of production volume, literally in only 24 hours. And so I ended up being $135,000 in debt and, really didn't know what else to do. I mean, I thought I had done everything. And from there on, I went to Germany, last ditch effort. I borrowed money, Rich, to pay interest on borrowed money. It's called the death spiral of any business, because that's, the cash out. There's nothing else to borrow, really. I go to Germany. My father has a stroke. My father did not have a stroke. My father had pancreatic cancer. And within, 6 weeks, he passes away. I'm at the funeral in Germany and my phone rings. And I get a call from Los Angeles telling me that we've been served a notice. So now I'm losing the house. And at that point, I fell down to my knees, Rich, and I raised my fist and I yelled at God. And I said, dude, seriously, if there's a plan here, this would be a really good time to fill me in, because, I don't even get what did I ever do to deserve all of this? And then I did something I think we maybe talk about today a little bit. I surrendered and I said, I did the work. Now it's not up to me anymore. There was nothing else I could do other than find a bankruptcy attorney, come back to Los Angeles. It is game over, Rich. It's completely game over. And I get a letter from the White House of the United States. And it starts to tell me that the president sends me his best wishes. No, let's please make no assumptions here. Of course, Rich, the president never saw the letter. That wasn't, of course not. Some underling intern, whatever, sent this letter, but it put me in touch with a Small Business Administration. And so I met the second in command, not some underling, but number 2, because they also got a letter from the White House. And he's like, I got to figure out who this girl is that sends a letter to the president of the United States instead of just calling me directly. And they helped me find a bank to restructure my debt, freed up my line of credit. 3 months later, I'm break even. 18 months later, I'm the world leader in my industry. And then a Bill Gates company and says, can you tell us how you do it, Rich? I said, like any decent woman, no, you want it, you buy it. And they said, how much? I said, millions. They said, fine.
No kidding. No, that's, no one wants to go through that journey to get to the outcome that you did, but what an amazing journey and what even a better outcome for you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Yeah. The hardship, I think we always think that the hardship is not part of the success journey, but the hardship is the success journey.
It really is. And, I watched a show called The Prophet here in the U.S. I don't know if you ever watched that with Marcus Lemonis. He goes around to small businesses and helps them turn them around. But the number one theme in every episode is the owner can't get out of their own way. They can't surrender, and they're the kind of become the cog in the wheel, as you would say. But you had to come about it the hard way. And I'm going to ask you a question, which is because you didn't ask for all those things. So when I ask you this question, a lot of this came upon you on your own, but you have perseverance, and maybe that's from your upbringing being in German. Okay, you have a lot of perseverance and stick-to-itiveness. But looking back, if you had a chance to talk to yourself, looking back and starting your business, are some things you would say you would do differently?
I don't know if this is the good part or the bad part about the story. I don't really think I would do a lot of things very differently. I probably would spend a little bit more time getting to know the person I'm going to marry. But at the point I was an immigrant, I needed the papers. So marriage was the best option. Otherwise, I would have had to leave, and I wasn't ready to do that. So I probably, even if I may have doubts again, I probably would do the same thing again. So I look at myself very honestly and say, knowing who I am, would I do most of it again? I probably would. What I what I think is a better way for me to rephrase this to myself, instead of saying like, you could have had a better life. I always knew that I wasn't meant to be in Germany. I always knew I was meant to be somewhere else. I happen to love Los Angeles. You can say about Los Angeles whatever you want. It's a city of misfits. Everybody who doesn't fit in anywhere else fits here just perfectly. And that always felt right for me. And now that I am out on the other side, I will say that if we look at my journey from a mindset perspective, or from spirituality or universal laws, it kind of fits the mold. It's exactly what the journey said. It says you decide the person you want to be. I said I wanted an equity business that I wanted to sell. It says you need to burn the bridges. Boy, did I burn every bridge. I mean, there was no more money to get. There was no way to go. I didn't even have money for another plane ticket to Germany. So I couldn't, what was I going to do? I mean, I had to make this work. Then there was the unfaltering belief that this is possible. I remember, Rich, thinking to myself, the joke cannot be on me. Like, that was really my guiding thought. After all of this, I just couldn't imagine that God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, would stand there and go, nah, 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 and say, the joke is on you. I mean, I couldn't fathom that. I mean, that just wasn't in the possibility. So that is the unwavering belief that we talk about in spirituality and mindset, to know that you can reach the goal. And then I did all the actions that I needed to do to actually put this in motion. That means I decided who I wanted to be, who I needed to be. And then I took all the actions to become this person at unbelievable growing pains, and with a lot of stretch marks and bruises and battered. And there was a lot of stuff that just went down the drain, that broke. But if I'm really honest, Rich, there was a moment where I stood in the desert in we have a dry lake bed here in Los Angeles, about 2 hours out. I finally had arrived where I was producing my first music video, which was like my dream. And I remember standing there, and it's whatever, like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I've been already up for hours because, we had to drive that to pick up the model. The grip truck arrives, the food truck arrives, the talent arrives, the photographer, the director of photography arrives, the stylist arrives, and so suddenly out of nowhere, this whole team shows up. And I remember standing there and I'm going like, man, this is the best thing ever. And there was a voice in my head, and it says, you're meant to do bigger things than this.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And you were able to hear that whisper. So
I heard that whisper, but I didn't act on that until it was taken away from me, and I was forced to do something different. And then that led to this unbelievable outcome. The second part, Rich, if we dive into it, of doing the things that show up as hidden opportunities, but really are a challenge in the moment. The only reason I wrote a letter to the President of the United States was because my mother-in-law was a nag. You need to write a letter to the President of the United States. Have you written your letter to the President of the United States? He's your president too. If anybody can help you, he's the number one guy in the country. Why don't you write him? And at some point, it became so, she was so overbearing that I said, fine. I may have said a bad word. Fine. I will write the damn letter, just so you don't have to talk to me about this anymore. That was the one thing that turned everything. A letter to the President of the United States that I wrote because my former mother-in-law nagged me about it. So
that's remarkable. How many parents have told their kids to write a letter and never do? You're an adult to write a letter, and you did out of avoiding being nagged again, and look at this outcome, which kind of answers the question already for me. You made a pivotal decision that you did something right. Okay. And one of them was write the letter. Okay. Well, you got one other decisions out there you made that was really catalyst to helping you, move forward?
I think a lot of the decisions, if I look back, were kind of catalyst. I think that the decision not to move forward that day in the desert, that was a catalyst, because that was the decision, not making the decision. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs misjudge this one particular piece because they say, well, I'm not ready for it, I'm going to wait. And especially right now, a lot of people are waiting because they're worried about, what is the economy going to do? Is this going to be a recession? Is this going to be a prolonged recession? I'm just going to preserve my cash. I'm not making any investments. I'm just going to stay where I am. That is a decision. That's wait and see is an actual decision. So you make a decision to not grow. You make a decision to stay where you are. You make a decision to hope for the best, that what you have, you can preserve by not putting any effort in it, which, if I say it like that, really sounds dumb.
It does.
Forgive me here for being so blunt about it.
It does. Sounds crazy. Who would make a decision like that?
Yeah, like imagine, so let's say, we're in a relationship, and then you and I say, we're not going to be spending any more time together. We are no longer having dinner together. You do your own groceries. Let's just preserve money. You can have ramen. I'll have ramen. We'll just, pour some hot water over it. Just preserve our cash. We're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything fun together. We're just going to sit here, watch Netflix show. We can hold hands, I guess. And let's just wait it out until things get better. What do you think is going to happen to this relationship?
Not much. It's going to go backwards.
Not much. My partner would go like, what is the heck wrong with you? Right? Yeah. Get up and get your butt out. Let's do something together. So people just think that waiting is not a decision. I think waiting is the most fatalistic decision. So if I were to go back and tell myself one thing, I would say, you not making a decision is the decision. So whatever happens now, you have to own that. I think that's a very, very big lesson we can impart on your listeners.
I think that's fantastic. I really do. It's wonderful because most people don't look at life that way. And every decision is a decision, whether you move forward or not. I want to just get a brief synopsis. You came back, started this company, you became the top in the world, and then acquired and attracted by Bill Gates. What was the company, and what was unique about your company?
Yeah. So what was back then? It was that the at-home living trend was just really taking off, and I had gone into architecture, interior, and photography, and at the time, not a lot of people were doing this, but I knew that there was a timeless character about it, because a Victorian house is a Victorian house. A Bauhaus is a style. It'll always be Bauhaus. So I knew that, that certain things in design would always remain classic. So I knew that I had a lot of resale value in that. And I went to these photographers, and because I was a photo editor, and I went and I made them an offer to refuse. I said, I will take all of your large format film. At the time, was just starting to transition to digital, and I will pay for the digitization out of my own pocket against future earnings. So it was a risk-free proposal. So I would fly to New York, I go there, I'll pick up the boxes, and I'll send them to India to, get the drum scans, because that's where the technology was. So I was building up a database that nobody else had access to of the best photographers, because I learned one thing in my life, Rich: why go after B if I can go after an A-lister? So I went straight after the A-listers. And once I had the A-listers, everybody else came anyway. And as a side effect, and I hadn't even thought about it at the point when I started doing this, is that the A-list photographers work with A-list architects, work with A-list interior designers, and guess what? They're designing and building the homes of other A-listers. So next thing I know, I get Julian Moore, Simon Baker, Francis Ford Coppola, Seal. I get all these home stories that they had shot for the best magazine, A-list magazines in the world. And the photographer said, hey, do you know, now that this is out of embargo, can you help me sell this? I was a photo editor at Elle magazine. I used to buy these. So now that became what I was world famous for. I mean, I would get a story in of Madonna's house. I would put it on the ticker. I had built up an international distribution network of 79 agencies in the world. I put it on like literally the ticker, the fax machine. I'd send 20 faxes out at the end of my day. By the time I got in the morning, I had sold it in Greece and in the UK, in Scotland, in Switzerland, Germany, Italy, Russia, Poland, Hungary. And and that's how this whole thing, I mean, I left and I came back and I had 30 sales, big sales.
That is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. And then, I mean, it's such an exciting journey and not expected, right? But you did make decisions. So you wanted to be a certain type of person. You wanted to be an A-list person yourself, and you did all the things to get there. Congratulations to you on that too. That was everybody's dream, right? To do something like that. I want to take a commercial break, Beate. This is your free time to share with our listeners anything you would like them to know, event, books, services. Take some time and let us know more about your company and who you serve.
I appreciate that, Rich. Yeah. So today I work primarily with business owners. So I work as the growth architect. I work with visionaries and thought leaders to help them grow their authority and scale their impact. And what that means, I like people that have crazy ideas or big ideas and they need to land planes, and they are better at flying planes, but they don't want to land them. So I help them land the plane by building, the structure around it or the strategy. And I find that is an incredibly creative piece. So typically 2 people come to me, or 2 types of business owners, entrepreneurs come to me. Number one is somebody who says, I've tried this long enough. I bought a whole bunch of stuff and I'm still keep spinning in the infinity loop and I can't get out of it. I really want to make a commitment to growth. And I think I need a strategy for that. That's people I work with. And then I have people that come to me that have grown very rapidly. And now they are at the 1 million, 1.5 million, which is, the burnout number. And now they're realizing they cannot replicate themselves. And they now understand that they need systems and strategies and processes so they can scale a company, and they don't know how to do that. So I come in and help them find the hidden opportunities and then organize it and structure it in such a way. I work with men and women across all industries. I happen to, of course, have a soft spot in my heart for single working moms, because I was one and I know how difficult that is, which is I have the Women's Code. I wrote a book, Happy Woman, Happy World, specifically geared for women to figure out how in the world am I going to make it through these really tough and work intensive times. And for anybody who's interested in finding out more, we have a free quiz. So you can go to growthblockerquiz.com, take a 2-minute quiz that will help you to identify what is your number one business growth blocker. And then you get a report that will tell you what you can do about it to remove it. If you have heard something, you say, maybe I should talk to her, go to uncoverysession.com, schedule a 15-minute complimentary session. Make sure you mention this show, though, so that you get priority treatment. And that way we talk to you for 15 minutes and we'll help you to identify what's going on in your business and what your best next step should be.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So do you work around the world too, I imagine?
Yeah, we have clients in Germany, in Great Britain, in Australia, New Zealand. We have now Hungary. So yes, we work with people from all over the world.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for that, and hope our listeners take advantage of that. We'll, again, at the end of the show, ask again how they can get a hold of you, but let's jump into the last segment of the show. Okay, you've been through some tough times. You mentioned all the dark period for you, and some was personal and some was economic. 9/11, that was everybody's thing. We've hit COVID. We've had some crazy times in 2022. And the only thing I can look back at, in 1 year, we had everything happen in 1 year, from interest rates to labor, to wars, to, politics, we had everything happening in 1 year. Now, as we still have the hangover of that in 2023. You are leading a company and you're also consulting people on their companies. Do you see it's a time to, as a leader, as a founder of a company, to grow, to expand? Are there still those hidden opportunities? Should you retreat? How are you navigating your company? What do you see today and a little bit going forward?
Yeah, I think the number one most important thing is, if I were to ask your audience a question and I say, if all of your competitors or 85% of your competitors made the decision to not make a decision, they're not advertising, they're not promoting, they're sitting tight, they're not spending any money on anything, they're concerned, worried, and hovering over what they have. What do you think is the best thing for you to do? And that is to do the opposite of that. I have a great example for that. We went, Gary, my partner, he is in renewable energy. So he was driving a fuel cell car. And the one that he was driving I thought was hideous. I mean, cool for somebody like him, but really hideous. And so he had now the option of buying another fuel cell car from Toyota or a Tesla, which fits with his branding because he does solar battery installations. He, does a lot of Tesla installations. So it's all brand conclusive. So we go in the Toyota dealership. I mean, I walked in there. People were kind of like, hey, yeah. We were going on a test drive in the fuel cell, and there were 2 cars parked in the driveway. And then Gary says, well, who's going to be moving the cars? And the sales guy sits in the car behind us and he says, somebody's going to move them. And then I see that to the left, there's a couple cones, like plastic cones, lightweight plastic cones, where more people are just standing and looking. And so I got out of the car. I moved the plastic cones so Gary could drive the car out for a test drive. Guess what car we did not buy?
Yeah. Isn't it amazing?
Because there was no effort, no passion, no customer service, no excitement. And then we go in the Tesla dealership, and man, it's like, I mean, this is not an Elon Musk thing, but let's just say they got this down. I mean, that is a business on how they do this. And we walked in, they let us take the car. They said, take your time, get yourself a coffee, treat it like you normally would. Come back maybe in half an hour, no problem. What do you think? What do you think of the color? I mean, it just was such a different vibe. So you have to make a decision right now in the hangover period, which I love and will steal, on whether or not you want to pretend like you have a hangover, even though your hangover has been over months ago. I mean, just look at what happened with AI. I mean, a couple months ago, nobody used AI. Now there's not a day where I don't use it. So you stand put right now, you make a decision to fall behind. Yes, so to answer your question.
No, it really does, because that really sums it up really well, using the customer service analogy, because you can be that Toyota dealer in your particular scenario, or Tesla, and it's just a decision made at the top. Okay. And you can be that. And the other thing that people don't realize, customer service as an example is so lost that any effort of customer service has an exponential effect on you, because you just don't see it anymore. So
or just excitement. Just be excited about what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Oh yeah, exactly.
So just tell me why I want this, or what is about it. The confidence and the confidence and passion are the things that are contagious. That's what people buy. People buy you and your conviction.
Yeah, I think about the saying, misery loves company. That's true.
Truly.
But they never buy anything from you. So if you want someone to buy something, your services, show some excitement and compassion and customer service. Beate, before we wrap up here, you definitely show perseverance of who you are. Your story tells that loud and clear. But nonetheless, you're a mom and soon to be grandma and business owner, and you got to get up on Monday morning and go to work again. Got to do it. What kind of things have you done to help? I'll call it self-care. Do you use mentors? Use certain disciplines? Or what do you do to help you keep yourself focused?
Yeah, so I do mindset work just about every single day. I make sure that I am in that mindset. I had a gentleman, John Mitchell, on the show that does mindset, and he had this idea of this 10-minute manifesto that you write and that you then read to yourself every morning. So now I have a manifesto, and I keep reminding myself what that is. With the arrival of my grandchild, which makes me kind of like feel a little bit old, if I'm honest, but I'm very excited nevertheless. I realized that I needed to make another decision in my life to say, who do I want to be for this child? Do I want to continue to be the hard-charging business owner, take no prisoners, tough love, or is it time for me to shift into a different role? And I made a conscious decision that I was going to make time available to be there for Kayliana, and to be stepping into discovering more of this feminine divine concept that makes me uncomfortable, because I really am good in survival and hard charging and making decisions under duress, but I don't know what it feels like when I'm not there. So I caught myself creating these scenarios because that's where I excel, but it gets very tiring. So this is what I'm working on right now, to stop creating these hard scenarios, but to get more into this energetic, feminine flow, to allow things to come to me with ease versus the constant fighting. And that is that's a relatively recent shift. I can't say it's easy for me to talk about it because it makes me sound like I'm missing something. I've always, I'm a woman and I love being a woman. It's not that, but it is that my story of survival has given me so many tough edges that I am still having those, even though my life is great. And now it's time to say, do I need to be this person still, or can I shift into something else? And that is a decision I made about a year ago, or about 9 months ago when my daughter got pregnant. And I said, okay, there are concepts now that I need to step in because I choose to explore that for myself.
Yeah, great. It is, especially we talked about before the show, I'm a grandparent of 6, and being a grandparent is a decision. I mean, no, not becoming one wasn't had anything to do with me, but how I become what type of grandparent and how it's going to affect my life and adjustments in my own personal schedule to be a good grandparent is a decision. So, again, congratulations on the future birth of your grandchild.
It is imminent. Imminent.
Today, everybody. It might be today. So
it might be today. It might be tomorrow. Yes. So any day now, any hour now. Mm-hmm.
Very good. Well, Beate, again, I never take for granted that people like yourself who are willing to come on the show, share your wisdom and thoughts and your story with our listeners. So thank you for taking time out of your busy day. But before we go, can you tell us one more time the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, find me on social media, say hello. Please, while we're at it, will you do me a favor and Rich a favor? Get It Done is a labor of love. Wherever you pick up the show, go there now, give Rich a 5-star review, plus a small comment. That is what drives the algorithm to send him more people to discover the show, and share this episode with one other person. And you can reach me. The best way, probably what I recommend everybody's go, just schedule your complimentary uncovery session, 15 minutes, uncoverysession.com. Talk to someone and let us help you to get unstuck or figure out what your very next best step should be.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that promo. I appreciate that. This show will be aired on all podcast platforms in the next 2 to 3 weeks, as well as our YouTube station. Beate, I wish you the best, and what an exciting day for you. And I will keep you in our prayers for that as well. So I thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Rich LeBrun here. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Get It Done, Entrepreneurs. If you are a successful business owner who would like to be on this program, please visit us at rlebrun.com/podcast and fill out the form, and we will reach out to you. If you got something out of this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on the socials. If you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag GetItDoneEntrepreneurs. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Go to our website, rlebrun.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time.